Hey, Pascal, good morning for me and good evening to you.
Good morning, Reed. How's it going?
Doing pretty well. I think as we were talking about earlier, it sounds like we're both glad it's Friday.
Yeah, I'm done after this. I don't know, probably for you, it's a couple of more hours to get going.
Exactly. Yeah, I try to have Friday be my wind down day, so half of it will usually be spent on just catching up on my own stuff. Yeah, a few more hours, and then I'm going to be sailing this weekend. It's super sunny weather out here, and it's going to hit 85 degrees Fahrenheit in Seattle, so it's a really warm weekend.
Okay, yeah. It's cold and rainy over here.
Getting there though, hopefully. Summer's around the corner.
Oh yes, last week it felt like summer. But you know, spring in Switzerland, you have a week of summer and then it feels like winter again. So it's a bit of an up and down. And
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, like I'm excited to have you on. Anytime I can get people that are kind of adjacent to kind of visualization and design, and especially with the custom visuals market and all that, I think it leads to some fun conversations because, as you know, I really enjoy the visualization and design aspect of reporting in Power BI. Um, Chat's saying that they can't hear me properly, so let's. Okay, all fine for then. Okay, cool. So I think we're good. But yeah, I'd love for a chance to start out with you, Pascal. If you want to give a little background about yourself, kind of what you do, the type of content and other stuff you create as well as for your YouTube channel and everything, that would be great.
absolutely. So yeah, my name is Pascal. I'm the founder of BI Samurai. It's a company based in Switzerland. And to keep it short, we mainly do anything related to Power BI. So we do implementations of Power BI. We're looking after Power BI services. So we do the admin stuff, data governance things, but also data warehousing and anything related to Power Platform, Power BI, data, yeah, all that. So that's what we do on a daily basis. And then we also have a couple of custom visuals for Power BI in AppSource. Yeah, it all started off, you know, when a few years ago I heard requirements from a client that were simply not doable with the core visuals. But you know how it is. You cannot argue that, sorry, this is not possible. If a client wants something and they're sure about it,
yep,
you need to find a solution. So that's when I thought, come on, what they want to do is actually not that special. It should be possible. It should be doable. It should be easy.
yep.
Yeah, and that's when the idea came to start creating custom visuals. And yeah, today I want to talk about two of them mainly, and it's the ones that can display HTML.
Yeah, and I think as you mentioned, there definitely, at least today, is a lack of certain features with some of the native visualizations. Miguel Myers is definitely helming a great initiative to get a lot of improvements and updates out for them. So we'll need less reliability on custom visuals, but there's enough of a gap that having custom visuals that let you build a lot of that stuff is really useful. And I'm sure you've used like Deneb. Charticulator is semi-stagnant. It's not going away, but they've officially stated like we're not going to really update it anytime in the near future. And then the one that I've actually really liked is a Plotly.js custom visual. I forget the company name that makes it, but that one also I think I like the UI and the interface a lot for that. I've been able to build out all those pieces, but I'm excited to see a couple of ones that you're going to show today as well, because I think it's good to be able to know what's available out there, and especially things that can also work with HTML. We'll be interested to see some of the versatility that this one will have.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think really our visual goes really in the ones you mentioned, because the ones you mentioned are also visuals that out of the box they can't do much. Like really the developer needs to really know what they want to do. But once you know how to deal with it, you can create, well, anything with it. And
Exactly.
a lot of Power BI developers, they are Power BI developers. They're not HTML developers. They're not web developers. HTML basically is what the internet is built of. Let's just call it like that, right? So every website you see is HTML. And if you think of all the, I don't know, hundreds of millions websites out there, every website looks different, and it's contains videos and images and slideshows and I don't know, like you name it, everything. And that's basically what you can do with our visuals. And what I want to try today is to not write any HTML code.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think it's we're not web developers. So we not only develop the visuals, we also develop tools that help you create the code for you. And I prepared a couple of things that I know will work, but I've also doing some things that I've never presented before. So we'll see how it goes.
I'll be curious to see the taking low code, no code to its final form with this. Okay. I'm gonna guess you're like I won't even guess it. I'll just be curious to see how you end up doing that. But yeah, if you want, I can flip over to the shared screen and we can take a look.
Sounds good. Fantastic.
There we are.
All right, so I have Power BI Desktop here in front of me, and basically I want to walk through what I have in this report. Starting off with the topics I want to cover. And what we can see here is that we can create more or less any kind of visualization. We can do KPI cards, tables, but also bar and column charts. We can integrate videos and GIFs and images, infographics, lots of different things. And
well, right now you have a website like right now as a visual. I was going to say like you're scrolling through a web page in Power BI.
Exactly. And now here I have a website included in my report.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to write any HTML code. So we assume that I don't know any HTML. You will see that I probably know a little bit of HTML, but I don't want to type too much. So now I want to recreate this page, but I have no idea where to start. So the BI Samurai website is a good starting point, because here in the custom visuals section, we have a knowledge base. And when I head over to knowledge base, still within the Power BI report, and I scroll down, then we have our visuals, and then we have all kinds of different topics to learn, how to create those and add those to reports. And somewhere in here, we have embed a website into Power BI. And when I go here, there's a bit of text explaining, why we should do that, and pros and cons, also limitations. I'm going to talk about limitations a few times today. There's a couple of limitations within custom visuals in general. But for example, when we embed a website, there can also be restrictions coming from that specific website. So not every website allows embedding. So,
okay.
So yes, this is the code. So we see this is what the measure could look like, and what I can do is I just copy this, and let me just create a new page, and I think I'll just name this temp. That's basically the one that I will use. Let me also create a new table so I actually have my measures organized, the ones I add newly, so I don't mess up my file too much. Okay. So in here, I then say new measure. Add this. I probably already have one that's called website. Just name it website 2. Add the visual. Add the website to the HTML placeholder. Make it bigger. Adjust it to whatever size I want. and I have the website included in the report.
Yeah, I mean, it even includes the scroll bars and everything built in with just like very small amount of HTML code for that.
A lot of things work. So you see, like we have those effects that work, and not everything works because websites can be highly complex. They can use lots of JavaScript and fancy stuff. So don't expect that every single element of every website works. So I think also when we scroll down, here some elements, I'm not even sure what they are on the real website, but some elements don't show correctly because we're simply, it's just simply not a full-fledged web browser, Power BI. So, but a lot of things work. And
I know it disables certain things for security reasons because it doesn't allow the pass in and out of data. So like I know a lot of the stuff that it's capturing from your computer or your mouse or other stuff like that doesn't always pass through as well to the to any custom visual in Power BI.
To any custom visual. And yeah, and I think that's when, well, I'll talk about this again, like which visuals can actually access the internet and which cannot, but yeah, this would be the first showcase, the first use case for the visual. But of course, oh, hang on, what I wanted to, no, that's all right. What I wanted to also show is, and I'm going to show this in the service, is a report I prepared that just contains a bunch of other use cases, examples, everything done with the HTML VizCreator visuals. So everything you see, well, not the two slicers, but everything else on this page is our visual. So we can create, this should be like sort of a bus route kind of thing, and then we have like different progress bars with stars and a plane, and then a person filling up, and battery, and water levels, just lots of different things, and everything can be made dynamic. So when I change the value parameter, this all changes. We can make every single element conditionally formatted. So for example, here we say, if below a certain level, change it to red. Because what these elements are, they are SVGs. And SVGs, and I'll show you how to create an SVG. SVGs are, to put it simple, are images based on code. So this is all in a measure. So like these stars are one measure, and the filling percentage is a value within the code, and we can link that to the data model and make it dynamic. And the same thing with the color. So I can also say I want this to be red, and now they all turn red, because also somewhere in the code it says this is hex code or RGB red. So we can change colors and text and size, and you name it, basically anything we want, right? And this should just,
if you're just handing it a code block, and like the block of code is just a measure to drive that. Yeah, that makes total sense.
All these are measures. They're quite long measures.
Well, yeah.
I'll show you the code. Like there's quite a lot of code, and there is actually a limitation. I think most people have not reached the limit that you have in the formula bar. So in here, you cannot just add unlimited code. I think it's something a bit more than like 3.2 million, something around 3 million characters. And yeah, when you do normal DAX, you will never reach that, hopefully. But yeah, this is a limitation, but still 3 million characters, you can do a lot. So in most cases, you're still far away from that. Then what else?
I was trying to see if I could find online where it mentions it. Oh, interesting.
I think it says it. Chris Webb has an article about it.
I don't know if this is right. It's the top Google result when I looked up, because I wasn't actually sure. This at least says DAX has a maximum character limit of 2.1 million characters.
Is it 2? I thought it was like just over 3.
That's still a lot.
Oh, actually,
that is much higher than I thought it would be. I thought it might be a few 100,000, but like, I really hope nobody out there has ever actually come close to that. I honestly,
Yeah.
even if it's like 100,000 characters, is just insane. You've written an entire database in that much code.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've reached it before when I tried to, convert a video file or a large GIF into base 64.
Okay. Okay.
That's when you
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
Because like a
Yep.
video, if you convert a video into code, like of course that could blow up the model and just then that doesn't work.
Yep.
But normally, even things like this, which is every single line in here, every single element is a piece of SVG code. So that's quite a big measure. And what we can do is add hover elements. So you can also see when I hover, so also the visual knows where my mouse pointer is. And when I hover over a room, the color of the room changes and I get a dynamic tooltip. Well, this is not Power BI tooltip. This tooltip is part of the code. So we could we could have a different tooltip for the table. Every element we can basically say you get a tooltip. We did the same over here for the plane, just a showcase, right? So here Tom Richard is sitting here, nobody's sitting here, nobody's sitting here, and so on. So yeah, another nice.
Can you leverage native tooltips or custom for that kind of stuff, or is it
Well,
yeah, because I go ahead.
The regular tooltip works on the entire visual.
Okay.
Right? So the tooltip, the normal Power BI tooltip doesn't know if I'm hovering over this room or over this room. So
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And here we really have, basically this rectangle here is an SVG element, has a specific ID. And we say whenever the user hovers over an element of this ID, show this tooltip. So,
the visuals. Somebody was actually just asking in the chat if you could or would be willing just to show maybe the measure for that the floor plan one.
Sure.
I'm curious
absolutely.
too, like how long it is. Yeah.
So this is the floor plan. So normally we have lots of variables because we want to make things dynamic. In here, I don't think it's linked to a data model. So we have, the temperature of each room is just hard-coded, but that's where you would link it to a measure, most likely.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also like the colors, you could make those dynamic, everything hard-coded, but basically you would replace that, link it to a measure, and it would make everything dynamic.
Okay.
And then we have all these if statements, if the temperature is, I'm not even sure what we do in here, but if it's available, I didn't remember that. So we have sort of a, this lock here changes if it's available or unavailable. Available room unlocked, unavailable locked. Small little things that can be added. Yeah. But then the code itself, if we go down, we have the different rooms. So we have an SVG ID, and basically how SVGs work. So you can see that here we have a rectangle, and the rectangle could be one of the rooms because the rooms are rectangles, and it says, basically it gives it coordinates where on the visual the room starts, and then the width and the height of it. But then we have other elements.
Now with this, some people were guessing too, is the how much of this was written by you versus how much was written by well, I guess like did you get this from somewhere? People are guessing where the code came from.
So not by me. This was done. We have a designer in our team who's basically a designer, and we were teaching him a bit of Power BI, so he could not only design those things but also make it dynamic. But like this, for example, was created in Adobe Illustrator.
Gotcha.
Adobe Illustrator.
I'm assuming you can. Oh, go ahead.
And then you export as SVG, and then really what you need to learn, because there's Power BI people and designers, and there's not many people that know both. So we thought it was probably easy to teach a designer how to make it dynamic instead of trying to teach me how to create that in Adobe. So
path of least resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's basically how it's done. We have a video or 2 videos on our YouTube channel where I think he shows how to create those stars.
Okay.
And there's something else, I don't remember what it was, where he just walks through how the whole thing is done. Because the stars also basically, they have a rectangle overlapping this. So there's 2 elements. There's this, 5 stars and the rectangle on top. And in the code, we just define how wide the rectangle is. I don't know if I will find it, but we have like the variables, the var value, and when I just see where else this is in the code. Not that one then, let's see. Var call, var value. I'm not sure where it is, but hang on, I got it. It's probably the fill is the transform. Oh yeah, I don't know, but here we go.
Mind? Well, yeah. Once you're done with this as well, too, is someone was curious what the code looked like for the tooltip.
For the tooltip, let's see if we can find it.
Yeah. Would it be labeled under that at all?
I'm not the SVG and design expert, so I'm not entirely sure. I know how to do it in regular HTML. It's the and I think I'll show you an example. But basically, what we can do definitely. I mean, this is that report. I can make it public, right? I can give this. We can upload it, and then I'll send you the link. And I'm happy to share all of this. A lot of this is downloadable from our website anyway. So this is a lot of these examples are in our sample report. And just for today, I put it all on one page to have it easier to navigate. But all of this is available for download.
Yeah, and I'll link them to your website where they can download that. Okay.
Yeah. We can also add videos. So this is a video which is stored on an Azure storage account in a blob storage.
Okay.
So we have video. We also have animated GIFs. This one is also, I think, on a storage account in Azure. We have like a slideshow, like lots of things you see on a website you can do with that visual. But also, you can just create bar and column charts, because technically those are also, some of those are SVG, the Lego, for example, just a fun experiment to see if we can do a Lego chart. But most of those, and I will recreate one later on, is basic HTML. And again, every element can be made conditionally formatted. So again, colors, and we can combine regular text and bold text, a flag, which is again loaded from the internet, but could also be part of the data model, converted into base 64. You can have like hover effects, you name it.
Okay.
So it's not just
like DNB or the other stuff. It like as long as you can get the code into there, it can pretty much be configured to do anything that HTML and CSS could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There was actually a good question from Matthias on if there's a way to do any kind of conditional formatting for the values that are showing in there for some of the bars or columns.
Anything. So you mean, so for example, here we have, I'm not sure what the code is, but Switzerland for some reason is green. Also, you can see that, you know, the colors here are not exactly the same. So this is a bit bright. This is light green and dark. So all of this, also here we have different, anything is conditionally formatable. Anything.
Okay.
I'll show a few things. I just thought it would be nice to give like an overview of just a couple of use cases, what it could be used for, because there's so much that sometimes it's difficult to explain. But yeah, I'll just walk through two more examples. An invoice, so pixel perfect. This is a one visual invoice. Pixel perfect, it's not like overlapping elements. So this is just one big table in one measure, which again, of course, is dynamic. When I change a client,
That's interesting. Okay.
the invoice change. So I don't know for the ones working with paginated reports, and this can also is sometimes not too easy to use. Could be an alternative.
Okay, and then just basically doing like a print off of the report page.
Yes, there's a couple of features we want to add. I don't want to promise too much. But the thing is, in general, there's a lot of ideas and there's a lot in the backlog that we want to add to the visualize functionality, and certain things are related to things you can do with paginated reports.
Well, then that was one of the questions. So it sounds like can it be exported to PDF today, or is that something that would need to be added? I know there is a file and save report that's just built into the service, but it wouldn't be available for embedded, I don't believe.
I'll get to that, because export to PDF, there's a couple of limitations.
Okay.
We'll get there soon. There's just one more. Also here, this kind of thing here, that was actually created in PowerPoint. So this thing is what is it called? Smart art in PowerPoint. And
yes,
again, fully dynamic, the text or the values, the colors. Just imagine if you would have to do this with native visuals, you would add, I don't know, one visual here, one here, one here, one line here, 50 visuals. And also when it comes to performance, a one visual approach will have a very good positive impact on performance, because this is just one visual loading. Okay, but there's one more thing I had in here. So like navigation menus, also again inspired by web design. You can do things like that. There's currently limitation that we cannot link to report pages or bookmarks. But just I was in touch with Microsoft about this a while ago, and now other people have asked about it on social media. So hopefully this will be available soon, because it would be nice to actually be able to link to a page instead of just a website.
Yes, yep, exactly.
And what we also do actually, so I said we implement Power BI, we do custom visuals. We try to implement other tools that can help Power BI developers and Power BI admins. And one of the tools we just went live with recently is called the Bridger. And what the Bridger does is basically redirecting HTTPS links, so regular hyperlinks, to different protocols. So here, what I can do is I can actually start a phone call directly from Power BI. The Bridger is free to use. If you use the free version, you get this little bit of a delay and this website. But basically now it asks me, do you want to open Skype? I'm not going to click this because we are doing this session on Skype, but basically it would open Skype and call the phone number that I have in the URL.
That's slick. Okay. You can have like contact info put into there.
Yeah, we have the same for like emails. So you can have email links and phone calls. We're just working on a solution that will also redirect to Microsoft Dynamics Navision if you have an on-prem and you don't have HTTPS links. So Power BI blocks those links. There's a lot of protocols which are simply blocked for security reasons. And the Bridger is, well, a bridger in between those two HTTPS and on-prem protocols for Outlook for email, or for Teams and Skype for phone calls, and other tools. Okay, So we have two visuals. So we have the HTML VizCreator Cert and the Flex. The main difference is that the Cert, well, is Microsoft certified, and Microsoft certified is extremely important when you develop custom visuals, because the certification badge means that the Microsoft custom visuals team has looked at the source code, has checked everything, and tells the users that this visual is safe to use. So certified visuals cannot access the internet. So we as the developers, we have no way to get to see what kind of data the users are using in their reports. Which of course for most companies is super important. So this badge extremely important. We cannot access external sources. And that's exactly why we have two visuals, because we want our users to be able to load an image or a video from the internet. And that's why we decided, you know what, we just need to have two visuals, one which is certified and one which is not. And it will also stay like that. We will always have one certified, one, well, as long as the rules for the certification stay the same. Both visuals available in AppSource. That's where the PDF question comes in. Certified visuals can be exported to PDF and PowerPoint in the Power BI service. Non-certified visuals cannot do that. So that's a limitation. Yeah, there's a couple of other things we can do in the non-certified has more functionality. We try to add most of those functionalities, the ones that do not, go against the certification rules, to the cert visual, but it's always a bit behind. In the Flex, we always have, because nobody is looking at the source code in detail, we have just more flexibility.
So you have images and GIFs listed under the certification. So did you import a local one?
Yes, we could. So
Okay.
Images and GIFs, we technically also videos and audio, but that's what I meant. If you convert a video to base 64, you might reach the limit of the measure characters. But for an image, possible. Also for a big GIF, it doesn't always work. So it's not completely impossible. But I think videos also make more sense if you load them from the web.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it blows up your data model, right? And audio, audio is possible. I only know of one company that's doing it, but you could add audio to your Power BI reports. But let me show you how exactly this thing here was created without doing any HTML.
Okay.
What I have prepared is this table in Excel. So what I do is regular Excel table, I select the cells which I want to have exported. I save the file, but I don't save it as an Excel file. I'll save it as a web page. And I only save the selected cells.
Okay.
So now what I have when I open this open in my browser because it's an HTML document. And when I say right click, view page source, and I copy this entire code, go back to Power BI, go back on my temporary page, add a new measure, and I call it comparison, and just paste in the code. Gives me a lot of errors because HTML is using double quotes, but double quotes also have a meaning in DAX, so I need to replace them. And with Control-Shift-L, I can select all of them and just replace all of them at the same time with single quotes. I just need to have a double quote in the beginning and in the end.
Excellent.
And now, without any HTML, I have created exactly the same table.
Okay.
Right? What we are missing is the images.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I already did, let me see if I can find them. So again, if I don't know how to add images from the web, I would probably go back to the knowledge base and search for images. Same thing what I did with the video. But that would be the HTML code that I would find that is loading an image from an online source and give it a specific size of 50% because the image we have on the website is just too big. And what I then need to do is, I'm not going to write any HTML, but it helps when I at least understand a little bit, because this is the code I get from Excel. And yeah, I need to find which spot, where do I need to replace things. And this is exactly why I just added a big image 1, image 2, image 3, because that's exactly what I need to replace. So that might take a bit of practice to find things, but basically this is where the table starts. TR means table row, so we know it's in the first row. TD means table data, that's basically a column. So our image is in the first row and second column. First row, second column. We have started at B. I didn't import A. And then what I can do is just replace this with the icon measure. Here and here the same. Then I think I had another icon in here, which is the something badge, probably certification badge. And now I have the images in here. So it's nice to actually split things into different measures to have it nice and clean and a bit easier to change. And yeah.
There's a follow-up from Christian. He wanted to know, like, so in PowerPoint, would any slide saved as web page or shapes or anything else also be able to be imported?
I'll show this on this page here. So this is coming up as well. Okay, so it looks like I prepared the right things. Perfect. The problem is here that I used the HTML VizCreator Flex, which means this page here will not be, I cannot export to PDF. So when I try to export this to PDF, that visual will not show. So whenever I use Excel to create something, at least at the moment, I need to use the non-certified visual, because Excel is creating CSS classes and only the non-certified visual supports CSS classes. Something we work on, but it's a current limitation. So when I open the PDF, it says cannot be shown.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, let me also show you how to get around that. So again, what I forgot to mention is that everything I showed today is a version which is pre-released. So actually we have a couple of, this is the brand new, well, hopefully we're still in the final tests. Hopefully we can submit to Microsoft soon. The new version will contain a header placeholder. You see that we have a sticky part.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's, I think, will be quite nice. That's a big change. What will also be in there is the ability to turn on copy paste. So I can highlight things and copy it to, I don't know.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
And so that's the main new functionality. But also what we'll do is we will have the visual free in Power BI Desktop. Currently, even in desktop, there's a license needed. So these are paid visuals, I think important to note. The new version which will be released will be completely free in Power BI Desktop. There's only a license needed once they are published to the service. And
Gotcha.
what we also want to do, because yeah, freelancers, consultants, you know, I think probably a lot of people watching your show that are learning Power BI, and you know, those are the people that we say, you know, it's not. Reach out to us via our support website and tell us a little bit who you are and why you think you might get a free license, because it's also nice for us to see what other people, like creative people that love to work with Power BI, are doing with it.
Absolutely. Okay. Excellent.
So again, how to do the same table with the certified visual. It all starts in Excel again. I copy it. I go over to the website. We have a couple of tools that help us create elements for the visuals. The HTML editor is one of them. I can put it into full screen. I paste my Excel table in here, and over here it creates the HTML code. And this code is created in a way that it can be used by a certified visual. There's a couple of limitations. You see that, for example, this row here should have a gray background.
Yep.
Should be aligned central. So some things just simply don't work. But we can do it in here. We can just say cell properties. We can add a background. Oops. Wow. Should work. Oh, that's
border.
That's wrong. I want background gray. We can make it align center. We can have it, I don't know, bold and bigger font.
Nice.
You can also add borders, you know, like rich text editor, standard. Quite simple to use, a thin border, 0.1. And let's just assume we'd be happy with that. So we say, I don't know, call it test 5, probably already have a test measure. And go back in here, new measure. And this will now work also with the certified visual. But what about the images? Because the images I had before were loaded from the web. Not allowed to do that. So we also have a image converter. And what that does, sounds a bit weird, but that's exactly what it does. It converts pictures and GIFs to measures. We just upload the file, call it image, copy the code, and this time we're not loading the image, but really the image, and that's a lot of code in here. That's basically the image.
Okay. So
and
yeah,
that
it
works.
It just loads it as base64. Okay.
It's just converted into base64. And now I could again go in here and find the image and say load it from image. Yeah, I'm not going to do the other ones. This is now too big. So I can also go into the code here again and say this should be only, I don't know, 40% in size, and make it smaller. Also, this could be made dynamic. So the size of every single piece can be made dynamic.
Okay. It really just depends on like you're building in the functionality, right?
Whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and this visual, of course, could be exported now because this is certified. We can export it to PDF, PowerPoint. You can also have it in email subscriptions, because non-certified visuals, if you add a screenshot, a PNG of the report, non-certified visuals also don't show. But this one would show. Let's see how long that takes. So in here, pixel perfect can be exported. All right. So, let's see how this one goes. I've never presented this before, but I played around with that a little bit, and I thought, why not let ChatGPT create a visual for me? So, for example, for this one, I just asked ChatGPT create HTML code for a balance scorecard.
Okay.
And whatever it returned, I just copy pasted it. Same for this one. I said create a P&L statement comparing actuals budget. I didn't ask it to make it red, blue, and yellow, but yeah, for some reason it thought that would be nice and give me the code. But what I would like to do is recreate a bar chart. So I've prepared a couple of statements, and we'll see what it returns, because it doesn't mean that when I asked it a few days ago that today it will return the same thing. So what I first said is just give me some data, because let's say I don't have any sample data. So create some data for me. And I have this data, and that's the one I now want to visualize it. In real life, I would have my database connected, but let's just go with that. So we have a new table, fake data. The next prompt would be, I asked it to create a HTML code for bar chart. I want to have two elements. On the left, I want to have the country name. On the right, I want to have a bar with the value. And I also tell it to use single quotes instead of double quotes, so I don't need to replace it later on.
Okay. This is the regular version of ChatGPT, not the pro version.
There's no, you see, I still have the upgrade to plus.
Yep.
No, this is the regular one. Yeah. So let's see. I would create a new measure, call it, I don't know, bar chart AI, paste it in. I still need to add this and see what it looks like. Let me just get rid of the other ones here, make some space. Bar chart AI. Okay, so it gives me a bar chart, but of course it gives me one row. It's not linked to my data yet. So I think that's something important, that we have the category placeholder, and the category placeholder is really the placeholder we use to repeat rows. So what I can now do is get the country from the fake data that was produced and put it in here. So now I already have my 5 rows. They're not dynamic yet, but I will make them dynamic later on. But let's make this just a little bit nicer first. Does that make sense? Or should I just, let's just, hang on, you know what, let's just make it dynamic.
Okay.
So I would create a variable for the country, which is just the selected value of the fake data country, and the var value would be the sum of the fake data value, return. So this country here, I need to replace with the variable, and the width should also be dynamic. So again, it helps when you understand HTML a little bit, but I didn't write it myself. So it's already, now it's dynamic. Now it's linked to my data. It's probably not exactly, you see it's already different like we have it over here. So we would need to fine tune this a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
All right, we're all good. Yeah, it stopped. It basically fast forwarded through your last 20 seconds of audio and caught up. And I think Skype is all good to go again.
Okay, great. So So yeah, basically AI can also help you to create stuff. If you have a requirement that you don't know how to do, like a specific KPI card, a table, I don't know. I mean, you let AI help you a little bit, and then fine tune the code and give a couple of more requests. And in the end, you can end up with a nice looking chart or KPI card or whatever you want to create, and you didn't even write any piece of code. Okay.
Well, it's impressive how much like it can continue to edit the code just based off of a couple short prompts, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, the highlight here is really that it just remembers what you asked before. So you don't need to start from the beginning, just say, you know, now change this, now change that. And it just, yeah, I think it's fantastic. But even though I don't really like what it created here, because it's not 100%, right? I don't know what the, oh, hang on, that's my fault. Sorry, because probably I should have made this dynamic as well. It's probably not, the light gray should be, I probably just changed the wrong. Anyway, I think we shouldn't spend too much time on that. There's a few more things, yeah, what I want to talk about, and that's small multiples. So what I showed before, that we have the category placeholder that just repeats the definition of whatever I have, if it's a bar chart or a KPI card, to the number of elements in my table dynamically. It also means that we can filter. So in the new version, there will also cross-filtering will be available. Also drill through will be available. And
drill through would be nice.
And of course, what the nice thing is, and I know this is not representative at all because we have a very small data set, but generally less visuals on a page make the page faster. So I made a very simple example where here I have, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 5 regular cards. And here we have 1. And also it might result in a different, give a different result than what we expect, but generally less visuals, positive impact. So one visual, 113, and this one is, again, because it's only a little bit of data, it's not really representative, but it can have quite a good impact on performance.
Well, Mike Carlo has that great article. It's the Mo Visuals, Mo Problems, and it you put like 80 text boxes on a page with no data, and then it can still add multiple seconds. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I think the cross filtering is a nice addition. We also added a sorting placeholder, so you can sort by a measure. So we can also have dynamic sorting. So I could have a measure that's sorting by the absolute value or by the variance. You just put it into the placeholder here, and that's what the visual filters. And it's a neat little thing, but I think we all struggled with edit interactions before. Because whenever you want to edit interactions, you always, like, these little things are always behind somewhere and you never know which one belongs to which visual. So what we added is an option, and we just turn off cross filtering in the visual. Okay. And now it's just not filtering anymore. Yeah, and turn on cross filtering, and now we filter again.
It's nice to be able to just have that turn built into the actual
it's
in the format pane. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple of formatting options with you know, we can have a grid in between the elements and adjust the padding in between and that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, like there's lots of nice little tricks also for the visual header. If we use one, like in here, you can dynamically, or not dynamically, but you can format it in you can say my header is sticky or non-sticky. So right now it's sticky. Turn this off, now it also scrolls. I don't know, give it a background color, stuff like that. But let me do SVG thing, right? Because I think that was
Yeah,
also a
please.
question.
Yes, it was
So
one of them.
because we started off with Excel and now we start off in PowerPoint. And what this is just a smart art. It's a smart art, could be anything. We don't have too much time left, so I just reused the one I already created. Select it, right click, save as picture, and then save it as SVG.
Okay. Yep. Like I've built some of these before for buttons. As long as it's native shapes, you can do this. As soon as you incorporate any other images or stuff, then it has to be saved as like a JPEG or something. But all of the native visuals can be exported out basically into an SVG.
Yeah. And then it's the same thing. It's again right click, copy code. What I would do now is go to a HTML beautify tool to format this a little bit. It will make things a little bit easier later on. So now I can copy it in here, create a new measure, SVG new, paste all of this in, select one double quote, Control Shift L, single quote, confirm with enter, add the double quotes in the beginning and in the end. And we have our SVG ready. Let me again add it here. SVG is currently only possible in the HTML VizCreator Flex, the non-certified one. SVG new, way too big. But we also have a scaling, so I just put it down to, I don't know, 25% or whatever. So we don't need to deal with that. Also, I think a nice little formatting option to make things easier. And now I can start making it dynamic. And this SVG code will be easier than the one we looked at before.
Shorter.
Because what we need to do, for example, right, we have a var value 1, and we have a var, we need to give it 1, and we have a var color 1, which is, I don't know, blue. And you can see that we have, well, let's see if we can find it. We have a clip path starting here. We have one starting here, one starting here. Those are probably the 3 boxes, and maybe these ones are maybe the 3, or sorry, the 2 arrows. That makes sense. So of course you need to identify which one is which, but once you have that, and let me see again which one was the first, this one here, we have a fill. So we know this is color because this is also hex code.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I replace this with my variable, why didn't I save my variable? I don't know. Value 1 is 1 and var color 1 is blue. Color 1, let's see if that turned blue. Well, nice. Got the wrong one, but yeah. You get the idea. It's the same with the value in there. To find the value, we need to find text. So somewhere in this text thing, we have the value 2. So, well, actually, it should be the value 1 that we want to do. Var value 1, and let's just have it hello world, and we should have hello world in here. And again, you could also even dynamically hide some, right? We can have an if statement. If this is the case, then hide an entire piece of code, like hide one of those boxes or highlight an arrow, or I don't know. That's the thing, right? It's really up to the person developing it to decide what they want to do.
Yeah, when I think you can basically throw and create the container template that would be the outer structure of the card or whatever else you're choosing, and then it basically just feeding the measure that goes into there to provide the text or anything else.
Yes, exactly. Right now, to make it easier, just hard coded what's in the variable, but of course you would link all this to your data model, make it completely dynamic and react to changes in your data.
Exactly. No, this has been great, and it's interesting to see the creative ways that this can be utilized for sure, either through leveraging templates, using ChatGPT, or just doing exports from either Excel for more of the table and printed type stuff to some of the stuff that can just come directly out of PowerPoint. So that's really nifty.
Yeah, and for the more, people can also do this in Figma, or again, if you're an expert in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm just not a design expert. So for me, PowerPoint, that's just how I do things, simple when it comes to those. But yeah, like I think it's amazing what you can do with anything.
Exactly.
With the dynamic hovering, like all these things, I couldn't create them, but I'm happy to have a designer on the team that helps us and clients to design those kind of things. And it's always fun to see what people do, because a lot of industries have specific things how they want to display a process or a value chain, or yeah, you name it. It could be anything.
No, this has been really great, and I again like recommend so some of this quite a lot of this stuff is available as either videos or files that's on your website, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, yep. So a link for the people tuning in down in the description for all of that, plus the one that I threw into the chat a little bit earlier today as well. This has been really good though today. I definitely appreciate this, and I think it shows how flexible HTML can be. Because you're and it's as customizable as a web page almost to a degree, right?
Yes, more or less, yeah. More or less, yeah. I also think that, for a lot of people that use the visual already, we don't even know what they create. I mean, we only know when questions come up and we need to support. So it's always fun to see when somebody reaches out with an issue, they try to do something, and then we're like, oh, why didn't I even think of that? I think we're still scratching the surface. We have more ideas all the time, and I'm sure that really all the people out there that work for specific industries and requirements, they do even more crazy stuff with the visual. I don't know.
I have one final question. We can start wrapping up here, but Greg wanted to know, like, how does like in your mind, how does this fit into this scenario with some of the stuff that Miguel Myers is doing with visualization updates?
I don't think that we compete with the core visuals. So I don't see that. I think the nice thing is really that this visual can fulfill so many different use cases. And I think that a lot of the stuff will be, not a lot of the stuff, but like when the core visuals will be updated and have more conditional formatting options, there's much more that can be done with it, but it will never come to the point that they will have this kind of flexibility. Because everything we do is code-based, so every little thing can be changed using DAX, everything. So we could even turn this into a star on a condition. You know what I mean? Like or we could move it to the right or to the left, or flip it up. So, and that's the thing. Like here, we really have, we can do anything, and the visuals, the core visuals, it's fantastic that they get an update, and we will be able to do more. But it will never be like, we'll never have that flexibility.
Well, as you mentioned too, like this is offering features that the native visuals just won't necessarily or have a plan to operate on, like with some of the videos or even some of the built-in website like stuff. So it has overlap, but also separate goals that it's servicing. So
yeah, I think we really want to have a visual where it's up to the user what they want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, Pascal, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about that. And again, I think just showing you the wide flexibility that the HTML itself as kind of a code base has for sure. And some of the stuff that you can do in Power BI utilizing those containers. So it's very cool. And I like to see some of those new features that you were able to show where like basically the on and off cross filtering and drill through that's just available from the format pane as long as you have the code properly set up for that. So that those are good configurations to have.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. We're hoping that we can push the latest version out to AppSource soon. There's we are aware of one bug in each of the visuals, so once that is fixed, we'll push it out. So hopefully, I don't want to say a date because it always takes a bit longer than you think, especially with the certification process. Yeah, but it's not going to take too much longer, I hope.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. And if anyone watching this later on, check the links below. I'm sure you'll have a blog or something on YouTube that will talk about some of the new releases. So,
absolutely, of course, yes.
All right. Well, perfect. You enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. Everyone have a great weekend. And again, thank you for coming on. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice weekend too. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.